The international break is over, and that means the SPL is back, and so are we. I'm Abhishek Ravikrishnan, joined by former professional footballer Rhysh Roshan Rai, and this is SPL Express, the show you need to watch to get the lowdown on what's coming up in the SPL. Matchweek 17 awaits us, but first, let's look at how the teams have fared after 16 weeks of football. It's a two-way tie at the top of the league between Albirex Niigata and Tampines Rovers. Albirex with the advantage thanks to that game in hand. LCS are third with a comfortable cushion over Balse Khalsa. Geylang, Hougang, Tanjong Pagar and Brunei DPMM occupy 5th to 8th with just 5 points separating them. And here's what's coming up this week. Action kicks off with Balestier Khalsa entertaining Geylang International on Friday. DPMM and Young Lions face off in a battle of the bottom two clubs, while Albirex Niigata play Tanjong Pagar on Saturday. And the next day sees the Lion City Sailors in action against Hougang United. And as part of Match Week 17, there will be 2 midweek games played next week as well. And boy, we have a fixture of high importance in the title race. Albirex Niigata will play their game in hand against Tampines Rovers. That's on Tuesday, and that's followed by Geylang's clash with Brunei DPMM on Wednesday. And let's start off with news that's been making the rounds just ahead of our recording. Lion City Sailors parting way with their head coach, Vidakovic. Roshan, what's your initial reaction to this?
I was surprised. I was really surprised. I thought he had done pretty well so far. Yes, we often spoke about them, having a few issues defensively with the team and the balance not quite being there. But then when you look at it as a whole, they're still there in sort of that title race, and they're still in contention to compete for that title, still challenge for that. And I also thought that they made a lot of changes in the off-season with the players that they brought in, lots of changes in the squad, and with a new coach coming in, a new sort of identity, new sort of ideas that he wanted to implement with this side. It was always going to take a little bit of time, and while that was taking place, they were still getting those results. Yes, there was an over-reliance on Lestien and Lopez, perhaps, but you started to see the likes of Shawal Anwar scoring goals now and getting to a nice little run. Razak as well was scoring goals for them, has been scoring goals for them. He's a top local goal scorer in the league, so that's always a positive. It looked to me like he was having an impact on this side as it was starting to go along. So it was a surprise, especially when you listen to what the players have said about him. I think they were caught off guard as well by the fact that he was let go. A lot of them said that they've got a good relationship with him. He's someone who's sort of that player's coach. He gets it. He used to be a player himself, and he sort of put himself before the players in that sense that he was protecting them at times, I thought. So I think players appreciate that side of it.
But what could be the reasoning for such a move at this stage of the season?
Yeah, again, I'm surprised. And the only real thing that I could possibly think of is perhaps there was something going on behind the scenes. Things happen at clubs sometimes where people who are in charge of making decisions have certain ideas, certain directions they want to go with, and then perhaps you have a head coach who doesn't necessarily believe that should be the direction that they be going in, or people who are the decision makers believe that things should be a lot better than they are at the moment, and then they decided to part ways. It's part and parcel of the game. I think it's a little bit harsh in a sense, but look, they are his paymasters after all. They make the decisions. What I will say though is that letting him go sort of halfway through the season kind of also reflects badly on the management, on the people who hired him in the first place. If you felt that he didn't suit your ideals, your identity, or your ideas, then why hire him in the first place?
But there's the fourth coach since 2020
that's right.
as well.
It's something across the world of football as well. It's not just a Lion City Sailors thing where, people hire coaches without really thinking, what is it that I'm looking for here in terms of a coach coming in? Maybe I have a technical direction in terms of where the club's going to go. Then you find a profile of coach that fits that sort of idea about how he wants to play and fits into your philosophy and is able to implement what you want. So to me, it's also sort of that issue goes back to hiring again. Are clubs hiring poorly and then paying the price for that later on down the road?
Well, Sailors face Hougang this week. What kind of impact will this have on the squad and how they prepare for the game?
Listen, as professional players, I think they're just going to have to try and block that, keep that out of their minds and get on with it. They will still want to go on and win the title. It's always disappointing. I think for them especially, as I said again, the players felt that there was a good sort of relationship with Vidakovic, and so that always sort of leaves you a little bit concerned about who's going to be coming in next. What sort of ideas are they going to be having in terms of training sessions, in terms of the playing style? Is there going to be much different? You know, there's always that concern as a player, I think, when you get into situations like that. But they'll try and do their best still on the pitch. They've still got a lot of quality out there, and they'll still put out a strong attacking performance as you'd expect.
Well, they face a Hougang side who've made a new signing, Georgi Maksimovic.
Yeah.
How important is the signing for Hougang?
Very important. I think they needed to replace Ferreira, which they've gone out and done. How much of an impact Maksimovic will be able to make, you know, time will tell, right? The thing that's not looking too good is his goal scoring record in the Serbian Super League with Radnički 1923. He didn't score any goals. Coming down into this league, which would probably be like 2 or 3 steps lower than Serbian Super League, you'd expect him to actually make an impact up front. He's coming in at a young age. I think he's 23. And so you do expect him to have that profile to make an impact in this SPL. And he's someone in that attacking line who'll be able to help them with their chance creation, also help them with their finishing off of those opportunities. Perhaps they started the season off without an out-and-out striker. Perhaps they're about to get one who will help them kill the opposition sides off.
You spoke about chance creation. One man who's very good at creating chances as we move on to our next match is Tadanari Lee and his Albrex side.
Yeah.
They face Tanjong Pagar United. Albrex, how have you seen them over the season? And they face Tanjong Pagar, and more importantly, they're up against Tampines Rovers next as well.
They are. I think let's deal with Tanjong Pagar first of all. It's not always a side that they found it so easy to play against. Tanjong Pagar might be struggling this season. They do concede lots of chances and concede goals. But you have an Albirex Niigata side here who know how to create opportunities. They beat them 2-0 in the first meeting between these two sides. But last season they lost twice to Tanjong Pagar. So
there's always a different Tanjong Pagar side.
It was a different Tanjong Pagar side. It was also a different Albirex Niigata side. So this time around as well, you probably expect Albirex Niigata to go on and win this with the form that they're in, the goal-scoring form, the kind of control that they show as a team. They're very dominant. They really manage matches very well. They can score goals and they can keep them out the other end as well. So they're a nice and balanced side, and you expect them to pick up maximum points against Tanjong Pagar. Do
you think the next game against Tampines will be playing on their minds though? Because that game on Tuesday is going to be massive in the title race.
It will be massive, and I think that's the thing that they've got to do in terms of trying to compartmentalize. And it's that cliche coaches like to say one game at a time, but it really is very true here. There's no point thinking about Tampines in the next game because they have to take care of business against Tanjong Pagar. The moment you start losing and shifting your focus away to the next game, we'll pick up 3 points here, we'll think of Tampines next. You then run into this sort of danger of, you know, sort of having this overconfidence going into that game. So you really do have to make sure that your minds are focused on the job at hand, on the task at hand. Once that's out of the way, then you go on and move to the next one. And it's the coach's job as well, Yoshinaga's job as well, to make sure that he reminds his players of the situation that they find themselves in. You know, you mentioned Tadanari Lee earlier in a good run of goal scoring form. I think it's 3 goals from his last 4 matches. He's starting to pick up as well. He's more of that chance creator. He plays that role, and there's nice rotation between him and Kunori. I love how they work up front for them. But overall, throughout this side, I said they've got good balance, take care of business here, and the superior goal difference now also means that they win this game against Tanjong Pagar. A big if they win this game against Tanjong Pagar, or maybe a little if, not a big if. Win this game against Tanjong Pagar, that gives them a 3-point cushion over Tampines. And even if they sort of lose to Tampines Rovers, they will still have that goal difference cushion. They won't drop in second place. They'll still stay top. And it's something that I've spoken about for quite a few weeks now, goal difference, and it making such an impact. And Albirex have that, so they essentially have that extra half a point or a point because of that goal difference helping them out.
So Albirex play Tanjong Pagar on Saturday. The other game is DPMM against the Young Lions. Both teams struggling at the bottom of the table. DPMM have made some changes during this transfer window. What kind of impact will that have on them?
Yeah, Namovsky coming in goal. You've also got Farshad Noor, Afghanistan's international captain.
Were they changes that were needed?
I mean, I always find it intriguing when clubs bring in a foreign player as their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I thought Jaime Nyaring had actually been pretty solid for them. But Namovsky has come in, and he was, from what I've seen so far, it's a small sample size. He's looked pretty solid enough. You've also got Farshad Noor, who will give them that strength in midfield. But it's going to take him a bit of time to get adjusted to what his teammates' strengths and weaknesses are. I think he's also slowly starting to get to know them, and they're starting to get to know him a little bit better. So those 2 changes, they hope, will have an impact. But really, it's been a difficult season for DPMM. Still coming up against Young Lions. I know they drew the first time these 2 sides met in the league. But again, when you come up against a Young Lions side and you're the fully professional team, you have to be the favourites and you have to be the side going out to really set the tempo and get the win in this one. Young Lions haven't won in 9 matches. They've lost their last 5 games. DPMM haven't won in their last 5. They lost their last 4. So both of them need a big boost, but I expect DPMM to be the side to pick up the win.
Let's shift our attention to the game that's happening on Friday. It's Balestier up against Geylang. Balestier, Roshan, we've spoken so much about the defensive frailties this season and how it's let them down. But one of the positives has been the attack. And Taniguchi, who's been in good form for that.
Yeah, 14 goals this season for Taniguchi, and he's not an out-and-out striker. It's fascinating in the league that we've got Lestien, who's a winger or an inside forward, also on 14 goals. Taniguchi is not an out-and-out goal scorer on 14 goals, leading the way, which is great to see. Kapitovic got some catching up to do in that race, or at least he'll be looking at them thinking, I'm an out-and-out striker, I should be doing a little bit better perhaps. But yeah, I mean, attack-wise, top 3 in the league. Absolutely fantastic. You know, they create chances. They're quite a nice side to watch going forward. Shuhei Hoshino is also scoring goals now. It's 5 goals in his last 4 matches. He's scored in each of his 4 games. Attacking wise, no problem. Daniel goes there also, no problem. They create chances, they score goals. 3-0 against Tanjung Pagar, they were leading, and then it became 3-3, and they almost ended up dropping the win in that one. Again, their attack bails them out. Top 3 attack, bottom of the table defense, and it's bottom of the table defense by far. 43 goals conceded. That's like an average of slightly more than 3 goals per game, by far the worst in the league. You can't, I mean, the fact that they are where they are, 4th, it is incredible, because I don't know of many leagues or any league across the world of football where you can concede an average of 3 goals a game and still end up winning matches and end up in that top 4 position. I mean, it just goes to show you how much that attack is really carrying this Balestier Khalsa side.
If you were Peter Deru, what would you change defensively? Because they have players of experience in those positions as well.
Yeah, but there are lots of mistakes that are being made, and also as a team at times that defensive shape, that defensive structure is not quite there. Too many gaps between the lines. We spoke about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, about how this looks like a Balestier Khalsa side who are great going forward, but they don't really enjoy defending. It's one of those things where as a coach, you almost want to tear
I think as a fan as well, you want to tear your hair out
Yeah.
looking at it in defense sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good for the nerves. It's not good for the health. I think a Balestier Khalsa fan or a Balestier Khalsa coach, he needs personnel changes at the back, and I'm not sure what they can do with regard to that. I feel like maybe down the road they might be looking at potentially a foreign player to come in and just give them a bit more stability in central defense. That's an option, but right now, I don't know. There's only so much you can do. And at this point in the season, at this stage of the season, if it hasn't sort of worked out by now, you kind of wonder when is it all sort of going to come together defensively.
Well, for Geylang International, they also have defensive problems. Amrul Adli got injured with the national team during the international break.
Yeah.
How are Geylang going to cope with his absence?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because Amirul Atli, I think, has been playing really well this season. It was great to see him in the national team, and it's been good to see him playing for Geylang in central defence regularly. Yeah, it's a blow for Geylang, and they're not really in a good run of form.
Yeah.
They've lost 4 of their last 5 matches, so confidence will have taken a little bit of a hit. But they are a side as well that I think they are quite nice to watch, in that they have a clear idea, there's a clear identity. They know how to create opportunities, not necessarily being always able to take those chances and kill the game off. And then they make mistakes at the back, silly mistakes. You look at some of the games that they've lost in this run of the last 5. Lion City Sailors, they lost 2-1. They were leading 1-0. And then Lestien essentially wins that game with his shooting from range. Just special quality, right? So you say, okay, you kind of lost it because of him, but they had chances to kill that game off and win it. They didn't take that. And then you think about the other games that they've lost. Hougang, a last-minute winner scored by Krajcek in there. So there have been these issues. Tanjung Pagar, they made defensive errors. They made it difficult for themselves before trying to fight back in the second half. So all these things, if they can try and wipe these things out from their game, it will help them along. But they are a side who are well capable of causing issues for Balestier Khalsa, because of the likes of Bezekor in there, and he's such a good attacking outlet for them.
So 2 teams who are struggling defensively, but going forward, they're a joy to watch, and that is our feature game. It's Balestier against Geylang International. That's on Friday, and our coverage begins at 7:15 p.m. with Roshan, who will be alongside Shashi Kumar. So that's all the time we have for this week's SPL Express. The action is coming in thick and fast this week, and you can catch all of these games live on our SPL YouTube page. We'll see you next time again on SPL Express.